This is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on the concept of passive income and how could we study it through Vedic astrology. So now friends, now times have changed to such an extent that you do not only have to be a government employee full-time working with some multinational organizations or be a doctor, engineer, scientist to have that financial prosperity or abundance. These days you cannot judge things on their face value. You might be getting this impression looking at a big showroom nearby your place of residence that this person has opened such a big business, he might be making a lot of money, and comparing the same person with young kids. All the time you see them sitting at a cafe, being glued at their laptop, just drinking one coffee after another, and you might be getting this impression they just keep on wasting their time whole day. And later on you might get to know that the person who has opened such a big business is not making that much money compared to those young kids who have their successful online businesses running all across the world. So what could be the criteria with these changing times, and how could we see those signs in Vedic astrology in someone's natal chart? So when I say friends passive income, to be very clear over here I'm not talking about some get rich quick scheme. There is nothing such thing as easy money, quick money. Trust me, all of those are scams. I still remember that movie in Bollywood, I guess it was Fair Hera Fairy, where they were running this Ponzi scheme that you give this much money to us, come next month and we will double your money. So here I'm not talking about that. Here I'm talking about, when I say passive income, it means when your income is not connected with your hours, like someone who has launched or written a book. Now even when this person is not doing anything but the sales of that book is going up, that person is making money from the royalties. Like I still remember, like when we talk about the whole cast of Friends, so even these days they keep on getting paid in millions just because of the royalties. And even friends, when we talk about different options which are available these days, like you can make money, like when we talk about side hustle, so you could have that in the form of investing in these stocks. Like if you think that you're not getting that much returns in the form of interest, the money which you have in your bank account, so there are index funds where you can invest. Now when we talk about having a YouTube channel, having a podcast, or becoming an affiliate marketer, so these all are the things these days with the advent of internet and technology which can actually make you self-reliant. And trust me friends, like I still remember that quote from Jim Rohn: nothing is expensive in this world, like Louis Vuitton, Lamborghini, Mercedes, nothing is expensive. It's just like that we cannot afford it, because there is a segment of market, segment of people for whom buying those things is very normal. So same way friends, these days if you have good knowledge of internet, you have accessibility to a smartphone or a laptop, and you are a very ambitious person, you are a very enthusiastic person, so trust me, there are those legitimate ways via which you can have full-time income. And I keep on running into all those kind of people who are doing very good in their life in terms of these passive income which they have actually put in place in the form of investments which they have done with their craft, with their skill. I still remember friends, like long time back when I was a kid, who would have known this thing that in future we're gonna have these kind of provisions. I still remember once my mama, my maternal uncle, he visited our place, and I was just in 5th class or 6th class. So because you know that in Indian families everyone wants to know, oh, what you want to become. So my uncle, he asked me, so he was expecting something like doctor, engineer, and I said I want to become a bada admi. I was like, okay, so you are not sincere with your studies, you are watching a lot many movies. I don't know whether I heard this dialogue from Amitabh Bachchan or from whom, but yeah, coming to the point that friends, what could be the signs and how can you study it in Vedic astrology? So now friends, to start first with the houses. So you have to give attention to the 3rd house, 5th house, 7th house, 8th house and 11th house. Specifically friends, in this kind of line or nature of work, whenever there is some sort of unpredictability, suddenness is involved, 8th house and 11th house plays a very pivotal role. Many times what happens is that we only give attention to the 5th house. Whenever we talk about anything to do with investments or stock market or trading, we only look at the 5th house. But trust me, over here 8th house can actually prove to be a game changer. And any combination which is getting formed with the 8th house and the 11th house, that in itself is a very good indication of some sudden unpredictable windfall gains. Now friends, when we talk about the zodiac sign or the planets, so starting with the zodiac sign, trust me, Gemini plays a very pivotal role. Now I do not care what your moon sign is or your rising sign is. If Gemini is going to be falling in the houses which I just mentioned, so if Gemini sign is falling in the 3rd house, for the Aries rising, obviously, if Gemini is falling in the 5th house, like definitely, then for the Aquarius rising, so same way, if Gemini is falling in the 3rd house, in the 5th house, in the 7th house, 8th house or 11th house, that could be seen as a very good sign. Now definitely friends, over here, like Gemini sign is one sign, Virgo could be a very promising sign for that, Aquarius can also be a very good indication for that. So these are a couple of the signs which could prove to be very supporting to have a successful, well-flowing passive income or income through these kind of side hustles. Now friends, when I talk about planets, so the most important aspect, so we cannot overlook this fact that these kind of line or nature of work where there is unpredictability involved, new age technology, innovation, out of the box a way of working is involved, Rahu plays a very pivotal role over there. So trust me, if you actually want to invest in these kind of things, because friends, trust me, I have seen the importance and prominence of Rahu in so many charts of these days so-called entrepreneurs and people who are self-employed, completely relying on the passive income, royalties and all of that. So Rahu plays a very pivotal role. Now friends, understand this thing. Whenever Rahu comes in picture, Rahu has to be completely dignified. Rahu in itself represents intelligence, like the way we say it in Hindi as yukti bal. It means smartness. So it should be utilizing or working in the realms of being lawful, being ethical, because Rahu is the only planet which can also misguide you and tempts you towards easy gain, short gain, and making you fall prey to all those kind of Ponzi schemes. And Rahu acts in a best dignified way when it is placed in any sort of Mercury signs, Venus signs, or even in the sign of the Saturn. But the best placement for Rahu is if it is going to be placed in the signs of Mercury. So now friends, and if you will find any influence of Rahu and Mercury, trust me, it can actually make you a very successful entrepreneur or a online wizard or a very successful tech person. So any influence of Rahu and Mercury over here can give you all those kind of skills. Now friends, when we say that in order to succeed in any sort of technical field, people say that Mars has to be involved over there, Saturn has to be involved over there, but trust me, all alone individually Rahu and Mercury can prove to be an indicator of having success in these kind of ventures. So now friends, Rahu, Mercury, and after that I would say that if I need to involve another planet, I would give more weightage to Venus over here. So because Venus also has a lot to do with the financial management, so because of which the influence and involvement of Venus can also be a very successful contributor for that. So now friends, if I were to tie down everything and summarize everything, so the houses which I have just explained to you, that 3rd house, 5th house, 7th house, 8th house, 11th house. Now I will elaborate all these houses. Why I said 3rd house? Because 3rd house is actually the house of doing something completely independent, self-reliant. Now friends, I said this thing that you can have your own teaching tutorial, like you might be very good in cooking and you might be uploading those classes in Udemy, or you might be uploading them in Skillshare. There are like so many platforms where you can sell your product, your created content. So 3rd house becomes very important for that. So now whether it's about becoming a lone wolf, doing something completely on your own, relying on your skill. So because of which third house becomes very important, and this is also the chief house of media and specifically the social media. When we talk about actors, entertainers who are working full time in Hollywood or Bollywood, that is the fifth house. But when we talk about the whole domain of the social media or online digital media, that is connected with the third house. Now why the fifth house? Now because friends, fifth house also has a lot to do with your skills, being original, having that charm in yourself, and the intent and intention with which you work. And risk taking is something which we see from the fifth house. See, third house is the house of your courage, but when we talk about your risk taking abilities, for that fifth house also plays a very pivotal role. Now friends, why seventh house? Because seventh house is the original house of business, of trade, of commerce. Eighth house becomes very important because this is the house of unpredictability, sudden windfall gain. And lastly friends, 11th house, because 11th house is the house of the wish fulfillment, all sort of supplementary income, royalties, all sort of opportunities, connections we see from the 11th house. So now friends, if I were to summarize like the way I explained couple of nature of businesses with you, like you could be a content creator, you could be a YouTuber, you could be running a podcast, or anything to do with becoming a teacher, selling courses online. So if you have these houses very well placed, dignified in your chart, over and above that, Rahu and Mercury are well placed in these houses, that could be a win-win situation. The additional thrust or support you can definitely get from the Saturn or from the Venus, but chiefly Rahu and Mercury in today's day and age plays a very important role in giving you success in all of these kind of ventures. So friends, the summary of this video is that you have to give attention to the so-called planets and the houses which I mentioned, which are Rahu, Mercury, Venus, Saturn in the houses, third house, fifth house, seventh house, eighth house, 11th house. And apart from that, the next category of planets could be that what kind of influence someone's natal moon is receiving. If you will find any influence of Mars on the natal moon, this is definitely going to be creating a good Dhan Yoga, finance, wealth, Lakshmi, Chandra, Mangal Yoga, which can be seen as a very good sign. Over and above that, any influence of Jupiter on your natal moon is definitely going to make you very ambitious, is going to make you very optimistic. And second thing is that friends, you should be getting the dasha of the right planets at the right time, so that which is definitely going to support you, reinforce you, your this entrepreneurial journey. Or moreover, when I say passive income, actually sowing seeds and setting up right set of investments, right set of skills at the right time, so that you can keep on cashing on it in future, in times to come. So this is something friends which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs on this topic. I actually wanted to include the charts of Mark Zuckerberg and so many successful entrepreneurs as well, but basis the response which I am going to be receiving in this video, I will try to do that in another part some other time. So for further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyavad.